Hello Stampers, this is Susan Malloy of Silver Lady Stamping. I am also an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I want to show you a card made with the Watercolor Shapes stamp set. We're going to stamp directly onto the cardstock as well as onto a piece of basic white using some different color inks in kind of an ombre effect, but not with the same colors. And the flower and the script as well as the sentiment is taken from the Quiet Meadow stamp set. So let me show you the Watercolor Shapes stamp set. Is rather unremarkable when you look at it because it's just gray tones, and it doesn't really, because of the fact that it's gray tones, it doesn't really inspire a lot of creativity, except when you think about stamping in color as I did in this one. Now it takes on a real vibrancy, and you can use really any color. I mean, I used the pale papaya, I used this is the pale papaya, and I used the pool party and coastal cabana, mango melody. Again, I used the pale papaya here, and then below, which you really can't see a lot of, but this is Daffodil Delight right under here. You can show off more the Daffodil Delight if you move the sentiment a little bit down. But this Watercolor Shapes has so much potential because I love the fact that you can make it any color that you want. And I don't know how anybody else felt about looking at it. I like the shapes, but when I saw the gray tones, I wasn't terribly inspired until I gave it another thought and said, this really could be just about anything. And then let me show you on the Quiet Meadow. I actually like this one a lot, mainly because it has simple flowers and it has another flower down here, but this kind of faded out script, and it has, some splotchy, you can just put that on, stamp that onto your card. And it has some really nice sentiments. So I decided to stamp that onto the card as well. So let me give you some supplies that we're going to use to make the card. So I'll set that aside. So we're going to start with this is the pale papaya cardstock, standard size. We're going to cut it at, you're going to cut it at 5.5 by 8.5, and then score it at 4.25. Standard card base. Then you're going to cut 2 pieces of basic white cardstock at 2.25 by 3.75. So one is going to be for the front, and then the other one we're going to do on the inside. So I'll just bring the card back because I just wanted to show you. I replicated sort of the stamping on the inside rather than just putting a large piece of white and putting a sentiment. I just put a smaller piece with the stamping and then put the sentiment, and the cardstock is light enough that somebody can write whatever they want, I thought, on this side. So you'll cut 2 pieces at 2.25 by 3.75. As I said, one's for the front and one is going to be for the inside. For the sentiment label, you'll just need a scrap piece that I roughly cut at 2.5 by 5/8. You can cut it, you can stamp onto a piece of scrap paper and then cut it appropriately to whatever size that you need. And if you prefer a different sentiment than the one that I use, which is from the Quiet Meadow stamp set, if you wanted to use a different a sentiment from a different stamp set, well, obviously you can do that too. So as far as the inks, we're going to use some Pool Party, Coastal Cabana, Mango Melody, Pale Papaya, and we're going to use Daffodil Delight. And to stamp the flower, we're going to just use the Memento Tuxedo Black. For the for the embellishments, excuse me, you can use, I used the pearl, the pearl basics, and then I colored it with some Bermuda Bay light Stampin' Blend. So you can just take your white pearls and then just color them in any color that you want. The catalog also has the Playing with Patterns resin dots, these dots right here, and this color is Coastal Cabana and would match the card, but I don't have them, so which is amazing since I have just about everything else in the catalog, I think. But I did have the pearls, and so I just pulled out my Bermuda Bay. Now I could have used Coastal Cabana since that's the color I'm using of the ink. However, the Coastal Cabana on the pearls was very, very light, and it needed to be a little bit darker to kind of stand out. So I pulled out the Bermuda Bay, and I like that a little bit better. So let's get started. All right, so here's the card base, and I'm just going to obviously fold it in half and pull that up and score it. Okay, put that aside, and we're going to stamp directly onto the card base. So I'm going to I'm going to use this large rectangle. Peel it off. And these are the photopolymer stamps. So one of the things I need to grab is my foam mat, because it gives a little bit more of an impression when you, let me just stick that on there. When you stamp, if you just stamp on your paper, you do have to give it more of a press, but it's easier if you have a foam mat. Okay. So I'm going to use my pale papaya. Let me move some things out of the way. And it's going to have different tones. It's not going to be a matte finish. It's going to, I don't know if you can see, you can see it's not covering 100%. It's going to give it different tones, just like the stamp set. You can see it has different tones. Sorry for the glare. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to be kind of over to the right. And then we're going to go to the left and then to the right again. I'll give that a good press. There we go. So it's not perfect, and that's perfectly fine. We want that. We want it to look a little, you know, imperfect. Our life isn't perfect, so we don't want our cards to necessarily be perfect. Well, sometimes we do. Okay, now I am going to do it a little bit off to the right, and I'm going to do it a little bit on top of the other one. So I'm going to press that down. There we go. Okay. Now for the last layer, I'm going to actually do a little bit of stamping off. Don't want it as dark. So I'm going to stamp off a little bit, and then I'm going to go back on again. This one's going to be over to the right, and again a little bit on top of the other one. Let's see how this looks. There. So it's very pale, which is perfectly fine. That's what I wanted it to look, a little bit different. I didn't want it all to look exactly the same. So let me clean my stamp. we're not going to use this particular stamp again. So I'm going to put it, peel it off. And we'll put it back. Now, this particular stamp, it has, you know, the way the Stampin' Up! Is making some of the stamps these days, the photopolymer, is they have an image of the stamp right in the box. So you can put your stamps directly in the box. And I will probably do that, just not right now. I'm just going to keep it on the little plastic sheet. I'll change them over at some point. All right, so now we're going to, let me bring the card in again. So see, it sort of looks kind of the same, right? Pretty good. So now we're going to set the card base aside and stamp the layers on the piece of white. All right, set that aside. So you're going to take one of your pieces of 2 1/4 by 3 3/4, and we're going to use the skinny little rectangle. Okay, set that aside. And all right, so we're just going to use the skinny little rectangle, and we're going to start, and now when we stamp it, it fits, you know, so it's not going to hang over either edge. So I'm going to start with the pool party. Okay. And just put that at the top. There we go. That looks, see how it has tone to it? And that's what gives it, I think, it gives it some visual interest. Now I'm cleaning my stamp because I'm going to be putting it into another color, and I don't want the colors to blend into the stamps, to the stamp set. So, okay. All right. And this one is Coastal Cabana. And it's pretty dark, so I think I may, stamp off a little bit. Let's see how that'll go. And again, I'm going to see if I can go a little, overlap a little bit of the pool party. Yeah, that's better. If I had done it with full strength ink, that would have been like way, way dark. And I don't think I would have liked that very much. Okay, bring in the cleaning. Okay, and now we will do Mango Melody, because this is a vibrant color. And I think I'm going to have to do a stamping off on this one too, because it's pretty bright. Oh, I know I have a little on the edge. Let me bring in my cleaning cloth. Okay. So again, I'm going to do just a stamping off on my scrap paper, and again, overlap just a little bit on top of your Coastal Cabana. Okay. clean the stamp, ready for the, and then make it ready for the next color. All right, so our next color is going to be Pale Papaya. All right, this one I'm not going to stamp off, we'll see. Because it's a very pale color, but we'll see how it comes out. Oh, it came out good. So on the Pale Papaya, you really don't need to stamp off. It comes out light, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, clean the stamp. And the last color is going to be Daffodil Delight. And again, I'm not going to stamp off because it can be a vibrant color, but I'm okay with that. Okay, there, looks good. It doesn't matter if it doesn't line up perfectly, you know, along the sides, or whatever, it's okay. We do our best. All right, and so that's all we're going to do on the front with the watercolor shapes, and then we will bring that back. Oh, actually, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and do the inside? We'll go ahead and do the inside piece, and then we'll come back and do the rest of the stamping for the Quiet Meadow. So, I already have that out. And on the inside, so on the inside, I did not overlap. I did them, I only did 4, and I did them separately. So, Pool Party, Coastal Cabana, and I did Mango Melody and Pale Papaya, but I did not do the Daffodil Delight. All right, so we'll bring in our other piece, and I need my Pool Party. Okay, we'll do that at the top. And I'm going to clean my stamp. And bring in Coastal Cabana. And again, I'm going to, this one, because it's so dark, I am going to stamp off. Now, on this, we're going to kind of move it over to the right and give it some space between the stamps. Okay, done with that. Clean the stamp. Okay, and Mango Melody. Hold on, I got some on the stamping block, and I don't want to end up with it on my paper. Okay, set that aside. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put it right on the paper without stamping off. We're going to go over to the left. There you go. Clean your stamp. Close that up before I put my elbow in it. And the last color is going to be Pale Papaya. Okay. And we'll do that one over to the right a little bit. So you see, when you separate them, you really only get room for 4 colors. If you do them, if you kind of blend them together and overlap them, you do end up with, like this one. This is the front. So we had room for 5, but when we separate them, we only have room for 4. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. Clean my stamp. And we're all set with the watercolor shapes for now. Okay. So I am going to bring back the front piece for our card. And we're going to stamp the flower and the script in just black. That's all. We're just going to do it in black. Okay. So I have my stamp set. And okay, and I need another long block for the script part of it. Set that aside, and we'll do the sentiment in a minute. So I'm going to do the flower first. And we'll do it right across the middle. And give it a good press. And lift it straight up. And look how nice the image came out. Looks really nice. And I like the fact that we didn't need to do it in color because the color is in the background. So hold on, so I just love the different colors in the background, so the flowers will stand out just as black and white. Now we'll bring in the script, and that will be across the front. And again, we're going to do it in Memento Tuxedo Black. And this is going to end up going across the paper and off the paper. So you can kind of decide where you want it to go exactly, but I'm just doing it at the bottom. Across the stem. Oh, and of course I screwed that up. But you know what? That's all right. It still looks okay. So we'll leave it at that. It doesn't look terrible. I didn't mean it to kind of get it out of it kind of slipped out of my hand. So, but I'm going to leave it. It looks okay. All right. Now, okay. Now what I want to do is get my piece of scrap for the sentiment and get the, I'm going to use Thinking of You. We'll use Thinking of You. Okay, and again, we're going to do this, we're just going to stamp the sentiment in black. Really, I mean, I think black just looks so good on the sentiments. You don't have to get fancy. Okay. And again, I want to clean my stamp. Okay. I'm going to bring the card in. I'm going to set the sentiment label aside. And we're going to adhere this down directly onto the cardstock. And I like to use the liquid glue. Oops, I think I have some sticking stuff clogging them. Let's see. Yeah. But if you like the Stamp and Seal, that's perfectly fine. It's whatever you like. All right, and then I'm just going to put it in the middle. Okay. And for the sentiment label, I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. And there's my dimensionals. Dimensionals can make so much of a difference in how your project comes out, because it just gives it that little bit of visual interest where it's just popped up from the background and not just a flat one-dimensional image. All right, so this one I'm going to put over on the right hand side. I'm not using any ribbon on this project. I played around with some ribbon and some twine and to see if it added anything, and it really didn't, and I was like, nah, I just left it off. So now we will do some coloring on the pearls. So what I'm going to do is get my Bermuda Bay. I'll start with the light. Let's see how the light looks. I mean, if it's not dark enough, then I'll just switch to the dark. But you just take your, I take the brush and not the marker tip. Although I suppose it doesn't matter, but to me, it's easier using the brush tip. And then you just color the pearls. And you can see it comes out, so look at the color. And that's how it comes out. You just give it a color. Nothing fancy. No special coloring skills required. And I'll do another one. There you go. So even if you don't have some gems that match the color scheme of what you're doing, if you have some of the pearls or some of the other gray tone ones in the catalog, you can, I think they're called the epoxy gem dots. You can just color them with whatever color you need. That's the beauty of it. All right, let's just apply this kind of in different random spots. I'll put one down here and put one up here. And put one over here. And we got a couple of small ones. Let's do something with those. Put it right into the color. And I'll take another small one. And I think I'll put it right up here. And that's it. I think that's enough. I don't want to overdo it. So not bad. And even my boo-boo is not that bad. Okay, so let's let's stamp the inside piece. And I will take my block, remove this one. And on my card I had put, you're so kind. Oh, I'll just do that again. Okay, and again, we'll do it in black. See how fast this is coming together? I mean, honestly, it's really not, it's not gonna take you that long to put it together. I'm gonna put it right onto this last color block. You're too kind. I want to clean my stamp. Okay. Now I will adhere it to the inside, and whoever gets this card, I will write on it on the inside directly on the peel papaya, because it's such a light colored cardstock. And there you have it. Kind of gives it, it carries the theme through to the inside as well. There's the card. Well, I hope you like it. I hope you like today's tutorial. Please follow me on YouTube and click the little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video. I really appreciate you watching today. Thank you.